Let's get into this Andrew Tate PBD podcast stuff. I'll be honest with you. I thought a Sam show when I was watching these clips yesterday, and I'm like, oh boy, is he going to love this. I am, for the record, not an Andrew Tate guy. I don't like him. I think a lot of his shit is projection. I think a lot of it is insecurity. I think a lot of it's an act. Then again, like all the sex trafficking accusations that he's got on him, he really might believe some of it, because at the very least, he's definitely, what do they call it? Method acting the Andrew Tate character. All right, maybe I dreamed. People are coming up with the guesses. Vince Black, Randy Couture. It was not Mark Messier. It was not Himmler. It was not Jack Reacher. Not nearly as many Command and Conquer people as I thought. Command and Conquer General's demolition character. Not Demo Juziz, not the terrorist one. I thought there was one that our side had. Not the dirty, filthy fucking Radal Demo Juziz. I don't like that guy. Who's our guy? He was like Claude. Son of a bitch. All right, well, who gives a shit? Let's go to the Andrew Tate thing. I did my best. Let's do the first one we have here is Andrew Tate's thoughts on monogamy in America, and that we're this shitty culture, and the reason there are so many affairs and sexual degeneracy is because we preach monogamy. Now, as someone who's been involved in some really degenerate, awful, embarrassing, should be humiliating for everyone behavior, I can say monogamy is better. It doesn't cause nearly as many problems, and any failure you have in the monogamy business is usually a reflection of your own bad character. It's not, it's so easy for everybody who wants to be a degenerate to blame society or blame people's perceptions or blame this or blame that. You know what's really hard to do? Blame yourself, take accountability, and figure out where you went wrong. That's what a man do. Andrew. So here's his excuse on monogamy. And this, to me, I watched this and I just thought this was sad.
But if you're a man who's stuck with a woman and you don't even get along with each other and it's a show marriage and you have to be together and you argue all the time and you're sexually repressed and you're being promised in secret that you can go to an island and finally be pleasured and satisfied, no one's ever going to find out, that's how you end up on the island. So this whole monogamy...
Is he talking about the Epstein Island? Now, I don't follow Andrew Tate as close as other people do because I don't like him. He grosses me out. Is he giving excuses as to why these guys went to Epstein Island? So is Andrew Tate one of these guys who thinks that, age of consent laws are kind of bullshit? Because if so, fuck him even more than I thought before. What a super creep. But this idea, if you're stuck in a show, I love how he gives all these caveats. He's like, if you're stuck in a show marriage and it's loveless and you're only staying together for the kids and you're obligated and you're blah, blah, blah. Get a fucking divorce before you go fuck somebody else, you nutless wonder. That's a guy, more a guy thing than a woman thing. That's really fucking pathetic. It's something I should have done a long time ago, is just went, look, I don't want to be with this person anymore. It's more of an obligation. I'd really like to have sex with other people. Then you know what? Drop them and go have sex with other people. There's this thing men do, and I'll tell you why they do it. Men do it because they're so afraid of being alone that if they don't want the side piece. They don't want it. They just want to have sex with the side piece. They don't want to have a relationship with them because they know it's going to fall apart. They're not going to get along, whatever. But they want to fuck something else. But since they know the side piece thing is going to blow up, they don't want to let go of the person they're with because that's their old dependable. If they lose the side piece and they dump the main chick, then they might be alone and they're a fucking pussy and they can't handle being alone because they'd probably neck themselves if they did. And so they have to cheat. So I don't like when people like Andrew Tate try to make it some masculine thing. It's not. It's a fucking chicken shit thing. You're a goddamn coward. If you had any fucking balls, you'd drop the person you're with, because if you want a side chick, you don't love that person anymore. So set them free. Let them go find somebody else who's better than you. If you want the side, you can't love someone and lust after a side chick and act on that. You can't do it. It's not possible. The very act that you're cheating means you don't love that person. The two ideas are incompatible. It's a bullshit thing that chicken shit men made up so they can have their cake and eat it too. But it's also a coward's way out because they don't want to actually have the balls to drop the person they're with because they secretly know that that thing over there isn't going to work and they don't want to be stuck alone because then they'll cry and be so sad. So that's why I don't buy people like Andrew Tate. I think they're completely full of shit.
Garbage that's being pushed by the West, especially amongst our elites, is the reason we have the biggest problem with pedophilia. And they don't have this problem in South America because they all have girlfriends. They don't have this problem in Russia because they all have girlfriends. They don't
have this problem in Russia because if you sleep with a 15-year-old in Russia, nobody bats an eye. They don't have a problem with pedophilia in a lot of other countries because they just let it happen, Andrew. God, this guy is a fucking maniac. You don't have this problem with pedophilia because everybody has girlfriends. Then don't fucking get married. Nobody made you get married, asshole. That's the other thing. Like all this guy shit, all this Andrew Tate dude shit, it's all just being a coward. It's all just being a chicken shit and making excuses for it. Oh, the reason monogamy, they don't have girlfriends, and then blah, 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 that's why pedophilia is... No, it's not. Now you're excusing pedophilia, and that's fucking gross. There's an Onion show you could go on that you do very well on. But this idea that, well, it's monogamy, you know, if you want to fuck around, dude, fuck around. But don't commit to someone and drag other people into it. Wives, kids, shit like that. Because then you're a fucking asshole. That doesn't mean you're repressed or society's wrong. Anybody who blames society for their behavior is a fucking nutless wonder. They've got no dick, no balls. You do it, not society. Oh, society put their dick in another girl. Oh, I see how it is. If you want to fuck other people, go around and fuck other people. Don't give anybody diseases. Don't be an asshole and don't lie. But don't commit to anyone if that's what you want to do. This idea, oh, monogamy, that's what's killing everything. Don't be fucking monogamous then. But if you promise monogamy, fucking stick with it. And you're going, oh, Aaron, you're one to talk. I had to learn the fucking hard way. That's a chicken shit, asshole, coward way to be. I was an asshole and a chicken shit and a coward and a nutless wonder. Oh, I can do better. Well, then why don't you dump them? Well, because I don't want to be alone just in case I can't do better. Staying with someone because you're hedging your bets is a fucking asshole move. Especially after you have kids. If you have kids and then you stray, you are a fucking pig. Aaron, didn't you have kids and have an affair? Yup, sure did. You know what I was? A fucking pig. Disgusting. Ashamed of myself. Really, honest to God, ashamed of myself. But also mature enough to know I've confronted who I was. I've admitted what I've done. I don't make excuses for it, so I can learn lessons from it and become an evolved person. But if you're going to sit there and make excuses for the promises you've broken and the immoral things you've done, then you're not going to get better. You're going to end up being this fucking cunt who's basically being charged with crimes in every fucking country he steps in because he's a stinky cunt. That's what's going to happen to you. Oh, the reason that we have a problem with pedophilia. No, the reason we have a problem with pedophilia is because we don't whack them when we find them. The punishment isn't harsh enough. That's why we have a problem with it. And mental illness and medication in this fucking country is turning people insane. And permissive attitudes about sex and gender and everything else is leading to that. So I'm sorry. It's Andrew Tate, when it comes to this shit, is a retard.
Elites don't have this problem. They all have girlfriends. But here in the West, we're saying, nope, you just stick with your wife, only her, be happy with her. What happens if you don't get along?
What? Oh, they don't have problems with pedophilia in the Middle East because they all have girlfriends. No, that's not why they don't have a problem with pedophilia. They just allow it. They don't have a problem with pedophilia in the Middle East because they don't have a problem with pedophilia in the... God, he's a fucking idiot. That's going to make these next two segments really hard to come back from because these next two are actually going to make some decent points. So these next two, maybe I shouldn't have started with this one because he's a douchebag and I really fucking hate him and he's a cringe asshole. These next two segments that I'm about to play from Andrew Tate, he's actually pretty sharp. Guy Sartell says, I almost respect you for admitting that. Almost. I'll take that because Guy Sartell doesn't almost respect anything. So I appreciate that. But I've said that for a long time now. Well, not a long. I've said that for a year now. I mean, you know, I've said this about myself many times. Mr. Learn the hard way. So far, you know, so far that's going better for me. But yeah, it's, I mean, I had to learn a hard fucking lesson. But goddamn, at least I learned it. So now we go to Andrew Tate's thoughts, and this is going to be tricky. So he was on the PBD podcast, and he was talking about the Epstein list and why it's not coming out. And again, I instantly thought of Sam's show during this part. This is, watch what Andrew Tate mouths here.
Put that shit out because we're all on it and we have footage on all of you.
By the way, who is that guy? I know Patrick Bet David, but who's this other guy?
And we're on it as well. Who, because I know you're smirking because I know you kind of know, but who has that?
I forgot it was that quickly. I kind of forgot he did that quickly. I didn't mean to take a drink while he was doing that. But they're asking him, why isn't this Epstein list coming out? Who's stopping this Epstein list from coming out? And, you know, this is weird because a lot of people get thrown under the bus for saying what Andrew Tate just mouthed. But you can tell because of what this guy says that he thinks the same thing. A lot of people who are not seen as like problematic or, you know, whatever word you want to attach to thinking that, believe that. They think that way because they watch stuff, they see patterns and they notice them. But don't you dare speak it.
Put that shit out because we're all on it and we have footage on all of you and we're on it as well. Who, because I know you're smirking because I know you kind of know, but who has that
What?
power, Andrew? Don't get in trouble. But who's up there, Andrew, that's calling them? Because, Andrew, they're calling, like, think about it. It's reaching Pam Bondi, it's reaching Kash Patel, and Donald Trump promised it to us, and we're still waiting.
Can I say something about people of like both Italian and Persian like descent? They're talk touchers and it gets kind of uncomfortable. They do a lot of touching when they talk. I don't know if us German background people are just cold or what it is. No touching when we're talking. I don't like that. When someone's talking to me and they like grab an arm or they touch a shoulder, I'm like, could you not? Like, I understand what you're saying. No talk touching.
We're waiting, which I don't think it's ever going to come out. Who is up there? Who's up there? Who's making that call?
Well, I could say the Jews and get some favor.
But you did, though. Like, you just said the Jews. You now see why I say that I thought of Sam's show when I saw these clips.
Get some favor with the internet. But, you know.
But now, why are those guys laughing? Now, if that truly was a racist, horrible, unspoken, not true, total myth, total rumor thing to say, why would those guys be chuckling? I'm not saying we should live in a world where that's the case, but I'm saying I wish we could live in a world where people didn't hide from the way they feel and like other people would get in trouble for saying what they really feel, but then all these other people can demean that person or they can talk shit about that person. Meanwhile, they giggle when he says it because deep down they feel the same way, but they don't dare speak it. I don't like that. There's something unfair about that being the way it is in society, that This guy speaks his mind. He says exactly what this person over here is thinking. This guy gets fired. This guy shows that he's vitriolic and angry about what this guy over here said. Meanwhile, in his head, in his brain, he feels the same way this guy who got in trouble did. I really don't like that. That's why I think everybody should be just allowed to spout their biases. Everyone should be allowed to be open about what their biases are, because then we don't sweep it under the rug and people don't get away with thinking of this shit, buried down deep and like subtly, subversively bring it up. It's just out in the open. We all know, so we can all make our judgments.
Let's argue that there's a lot of influences in the world.
Yep.
And all of them are rich. Poor people don't matter in terms of this kind of political setup, right? So it can be the Jews, it can be the Muslims, it can be the Christians, whatever, but whoever they are, they have a lot of money because money is power.
It's funny that he's like, it could be the Jews, it could be the Christians, it's a Muslim. You can almost see the wheels in his head turning, go, but it's mostly the Jews. Like he's not.
So I would analyze, firstly, if I had to try and dissect this as a professional, I would analyze who controls enough money that it would be a detriment to the political class and the society as a whole if these lists leaked. Because nobody's afraid of outing a poor person, and nobody's afraid of outing brokies. They're afraid of outing people with massive influence, and influence is money because money is the stored time and energy of other humans. So I would say follow the money. And if you follow the money, you will come to the answer to the question. Will they eventually release it? I like to think so. I'm actually a huge fan.
I mean, yeah, if we find out, if we could be told, how did Jeffrey Epstein make his money? Who paid Jeffrey Epstein? How did he get how did he have all these jets and this island and everything else? If you told us that, I'm pretty sure we would find out he's an agent from Mossad and he was hired to blackmail American politicians and billionaires so that the Israeli government could have those people in their pocket as bribed men, paid men, compromised individuals that they could then use to do their bidding. Because let's go back. Has Bill Gates ever told Israel no? Have the Clintons ever told Israel no? Any of the other people that are on that list. Alec Baldwin. Is it Alec Baldwin? Yeah, he was on one of the flight lists. Has Alec Baldwin ever told Hollywood no? Alec Baldwin would be fucking out of Hollywood for a lot of the shit he's done. But if he's a compromised man, they can use him for stuff. I mean, when has Alec Baldwin ever taken a political position that was contradictory to what Israel wanted to do? Open question. It's not rhetorical. It's an open question. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Fan of Cash. I actually like Pam. I think they're good people. I've never spoken to them, but from what I've seen, they're great. So I like to think they will release it. I don't trust Pam Bondi. I think she's kind of LARPing. I think Pam Bondi wants the attention for being like, I'm going to release the Epstein shit. But once they come to her with the names and once she starts getting the threats and once all that stuff happens, that's when she's going to start redacting. That's when she's going to be like, all right, is it? And by the way, I understand. She's going to say, is it worth the threat to myself and my family and my loved ones to do this unredacted? And I think ultimately she'll say, no, it's not worth it. And I get it, but then don't go on TV and posture like you're going to do this. I'm a benefit of the doubt guy in general. I think that if somebody says they're going to release a list and they're a little bit late, but they haven't said they're not going to release it, I think we should give them the benefit of the doubt because
I disagree, especially when you're talking about the government. I believe in I'll believe it when I see it, and I will doubt you until I do. I think that's the healthiest way to treat government. I disagree with Andrew on that one.
The team would have never released it. The other team would have never promised to release it. If Kamala won, it would have never been seen. So
yeah, he's right. I mean, he's right. He's right about the Epstein list. I just disagree with him on whether or not we should take these people at their word. McBuster says Baldwin has a new family show on HBO to wash his image. Oh yeah, no, we've got a clip of we got a Hilaria Baldwin interview today where she's doing this thing talking about how Alec felt so bad after he killed that woman. Alec felt so terrible after he shot that Helena Hutchins or whatever her name was. He felt so terrible. He was depressed, again, they're rebuilding his image. Mel Gibson got shit-faced and told a cop the Jews started all the wars, and he had to fund every project he's done before or since by himself. So, Alec Baldwin killed a lady. Killed him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We all agree with that. It's a fact. Alec Baldwin killed someone. The industry is rebuilding Alec Baldwin's image for him and still giving him work. Mel Gibson said the Jews started all the wars while he was fucked up on the side of a road. We don't even have a recording of it. And he has to fund every project and fucking bull shoulder his way into Hollywood. How am I supposed to see shit like that and not draw conclusions? Why am I the bad guy for doing that? And Alec Baldwin is on the Epstein flight list. And Epstein wasn't a paid Mossad agent to compromise influential Americans? Dive Bar said there's a recording of it somewhere because I remember hearing it. I think that's a Mandela effect thing because I remember hearing it too, but I can't find it anywhere. I think you're thinking of the Mel Gibson voicemails that he left for his wife. Because I had the longest Mandela effect with that. I was like, I remember hearing the recording of Mel Gibson saying the Jews started all the wars. I don't think that ever was a thing. I think there's a bunch of other recordings of Mel Gibson, but not that. I don't think. Let's go to Mindy Lee becoming a member for 30 months. By the way, Mindy and every VIP, all those 9 VIPs I ordered packages for 2 days ago when we were still having spring problems, I checked on those orders. They are all still in the printing stage. So I don't know what to tell you. Numero uno, Josh Denny fans, same thing. All of my orders still say they're in the printing stage. If you ordered something from spring, check on your orders. If it says it's still in the printing stage, they assured me it will get done. They're having some problems. If it doesn't, if you can't find your order when you go to track it, let me know. Let me know and I will get you something else. I will take care of it for you if that order doesn't exist. But I've only heard one person say that. Mindy Lee becoming a member for 30 months says I'm behind in the show, but if that MSNBC bitch said that about my kid who has been cancer-free for 7 years, I would find a way to give her a brain tumor. Talk to Mossad. They probably have a way to actually do that to people. Yeah, Historically White says, I swear I heard that Mel Gibson tape too. I know. I thought I did too. I thought for the longest time. Although Jfish says Mandela effect equals trust us, we are not wiping the net. They would not wipe the net of the Mel Gibson tape because they would want people to hear that so they could bury Mel with it. Atomic Ray says, no, not his wife. Mel was talking to the police when he said Jews started all the wars. No, I know. I think people think because they've heard the Mel Gibson phone call with his wife, they confuse that and go, I've heard him say the Jews started all the wars to that cop. I don't think so. Warlock says, is April working at the printers? I think we can leave. I've said this many times before. I think we can leave her alone. I still see people going like, I can't believe she got the charges dropped with the thing. The cosmic punishment for all that is happening, you guys. I don't think we need to, ask for more punishment. I mean, everyone involved is either in the process of repenting and working on shit and very happy about where things are going, or people are getting their cosmic punishments of their lives being completely fucking destroyed. So I don't think we need to, Numero uno, Josh Denny fan says Mel Gibson has been nominated for Oscars and given big applause at the Oscars for the World War II movie. He's doing fine. Yes, but you have to admit he had to muscle his way back into the business. The only reason Mel is still in Hollywood is A, Robert Downey Jr. vouched for him, and B, he's so undeniably fucking talented. You can't. I mean, let's be honest. Mel Gibson ain't making Die Hards anymore. They're not letting him, or Die Hards. Lethal Weapon. Jesus Christ. They're not letting him make Braveheart. They're not letting him make The Patriot. They're not doing that shit. And he's good enough. He's good enough. He could if they gave him that kind of leeway. This is the final Andrew Tate clip we have. This is the most controversial one. This is the one where you and I are going to clash the most because I have seen a lot of fans of this show have the same. Someone says, I'm part of the VIP program. When do you send out all the merch? If you are a VIP from the last year who did not get your stuff when she was supposed to do them, your stuff is being printed. Once that stuff is printed and sent out, we're going to let all the VIPs claim a free item of merchandise. I'm worried that if we let 100 people claim a shirt right now, it's going to keep bogging down everyone else's shit. So I want all that stuff I'm worried about people who have already gotten shit. I want to get that out before I add more stuff to that. Another person texting in saying Alec Baldwin is a good earner. Yeah, that's exactly it. So this is Andrew Tate talking about World War II. This is going to be the one that you guys are going to break from me on. Or no, World War II, I'm sorry. This is going to be the one where you guys break from me because we've had this discussion before. I think that the story of World War II is generally true. I think there are some, the winners get to write the history part of it. I don't think how evil Russia was during World War II is really fleshed out enough because, in my opinion, Russian army more evil than the Nazi army. The army. I'm just talking about the behavior of the soldiers. The Russian army was more deplorable than the Nazi army. I'm not talking about the brass. I'm not talking about the leaders. This isn't a Hitler-Stalin thing. This isn't a Holocaust Jew thing. Purely the conduct of the Russian army versus the German army, I believe the Russians were worse. I agree with Patton that we should have retooled the German army, taken all of our military while we had nukes and Russia didn't, and we should have flattened the USSR. We should have taken them out. The New World Order could have been Western Europe and the United States and a rebuilt Japan. That would have been the New World Order. And then you go in, you crush communism in China, you help the Chinese drive out Mao Zedong. The world, I think, is a better and more peaceful place and a richer place if we would have done those two things. We could have fought one more war and we could have been done with it. And then, who has nukes? Us, the UK. There's a chance you don't get Israel if we knock out the USSR because they were a big part of creating Israel as well because they wanted it to be a communist state. And it almost was. I mean, honestly, early Israel in all but name was kind of communist. But anyway, Andrew Tate goes on about World War II and says, what if the history had it all wrong? What if we were lied to about World War II? Now, I don't think we were lied to about World War II. I think we were sugar-coated a little bit on World War II. I think it was turned into more of a movie than it is an actual event. And this crazy guy, Hitler, and he just lost his mind one day. No, that's not the case with Hitler. Hitler had some complaints. Some of them were valid. The way he went about treating people who he saw as part of that complaint was fucking deplorable. Before the Holocaust even, just the ghettos, just putting Jews in the ghettos to someone who loves the kind of country we have and freedom and all of that, that's disgusting. That's deplorable. If he had never set up one concentration camp and just done the ghettos thing, to me, that's bad enough to make him evil. But the idea that there's this weird rewriting of history we're starting to see, and that guy Tucker Carlson had on kind of did it too, where people are trying to soften the image of Hitler. I don't think that's a good idea. You can demonize the Allies more and say they aren't as clean cut, they weren't as, honest and decent as we're told they were, and they weren't. You have the annihilation of Dresden. You have the atomic bombings. You have the atrocities that the Russians committed. Bad shit happened. You have Churchill probably could have ended the war earlier if he would have accepted a peace deal with Hitler, but he wanted to drive Hitler all the way into the ground, unconditional surrender. And, we were the same way with Japan. That probably cost a few million lives instead of a negotiated, brokered peace with some territorial concessions, kind of the way World War I ended, maybe not so harsh. We could have done that, but nope, we wanted to crush the whole thing, and that probably led to the deaths of millions of more people. So you can criticize that. But this idea that Hitler wasn't a bad guy, I can't go with that.
Together to fight against it because then they are what?
Racist.
Nazis.
Yep.
Nazis.
Yep, for sure.
So they use World War II. Let me ask you guys a question. If they use World War
Yes, you're gay.
II to subvert white nationalism to the point of extinction, wouldn't it be truly treasonous if the story of World War II wasn't even true? What if there's another story to World War II?
But it is true. The story is true. We've fabricated around the edges, but the story is true. Nobody made Hitler invade Poland. I mean, you could argue that if you want to rewrite the history of World War II, you could argue it maybe should have started earlier. Hitler took all of Czechoslovakia after saying he wouldn't go any further. Hitler took all of Austria, the Rhineland, all of that's the corridor, all of that stuff. You could make the argument that, it's also something to think about. What if Hitler would have stopped at Munich? What if Hitler would have stopped after Neville Chamberlain, peace in our time, the Sudetenland? What if Germany did get the Rhineland, Austria, the corridor, the Sudetenland, all that part of Czechoslovakia? I mean, you would have had a peacetime, no World War II, and Adolf Hitler having a sizable chunk of territory and rebuilding Germany with it. It's an interesting history to think about.
Is it true, the story that we know, the version of events that we know? Hitler's just crazy and he just lost his mind. I'm asking questions because in my world, I understood that victors write the history. Winners write history. Winners are always the good guys. Loser was always the bad guy.
Right. I think there's a good argument to be made there that we're lied to about the history of World War II in that the Soviet Union is looked at as one of the good guys that won the war. The Soviet Union wanted to be bad guys. The Soviet Union wanted to be aggressors in World War II, but Germany attacked them, so it was an alliance of convenience. Stalin had his mind set on territorial expansion. He wanted Finland. The Finns kicked his ass. He wanted Poland. He had to split it with Germany. He wanted Eastern Europe, but Germany invaded him first.
Loser had no point of view at all. The winner had all the right thing, and they were doing all the right things. So I'm just asking you, if this war is what's shaping the modern world and it is bringing on the ideology which is going to lead to the extinction of the white race, isn't it important we find out if the story we're told is even true? Let me apply this to modern.
You know what I'm noticing in this segment? I want to see if you guys are noticing it too. So I'll be a little wordy in my explanation so as to give you guys time. Do you know what I'm noticing during this segment that I wasn't noticing in the other segments? The complete and utter silence of Patrick Bet-David and everybody else on this podcast. Nobody is willing to go here with Andrew Tate. Now, me, like I said earlier, I like it when everyone's honest. I like it when everyone's telling me what they think. I don't feel threatened by people having ideas that I don't have. I like knowing where they're at. So Andrew Tate talking this way about World War II, I'm not afraid to disagree with him, but I'm also not afraid to hear what he has to say. These PBD guys are sitting there, man. They're choking on their pens. They're sitting there going, don't even at this.
Modern time. If you listen to the media and the story, they tell you Putin's crazy. Putin's nuts. And he's lost his mind. And he has no point of view at all. And he has no reason to invade Ukraine.
See, I don't believe that. Like, you can get through that media messaging. Like, I don't believe that Putin's crazy. I actually believe that Putin's a remarkably sharp guy. I think he might be the smartest world leader out there. I don't think there might not be anyone more intelligent than Vladimir Putin. I just don't think, I don't think, between doing what's right for the world and doing what he wants to do, he will always choose what he wants to do. And with the Ukraine thing, yeah, you could definitely make the argument that he was pushed into it. You could make the argument that he was backed up into his own border and he came out swinging. You can make that argument, sure.
There's no possible reason. If you research, you'll understand he actually has a pretty good argument. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm saying that he has his beliefs. We have our beliefs, some right, some wrong. There's no such thing as black and white. There are different.
Yeah, Putin does have a reason to be pissed at Ukraine and pissed at the West. Is invading Ukraine the appropriate thing to do or the right thing to do? I don't think so. But everybody is so afraid to just admit that Putin's got a point. Because that looks like you're simping for Putin and you're on Russia's side. No. I think it's important if you're going to mediate any dispute to be able to see the good points everybody has. Ukraine has a good point. Holy shit, we're being invaded. Russia has a good point. These people are corrupt as shit. They've been fucking with us from day one, And these Western powers have broken every promise they've ever made to me. Their word means jack shit, and they keep pushing their little anti-Russia alliance right up to my border. I've fucking had it. I'm taking action. He's allowed to do you can draw an A to B line to how we got here and where we've been.
Varying shades of gray in every single conflict. But the Hitler story, the World War II story, is black-white, because that's how the winners want to write it. And that's how it always goes when the war is over. And the story of Russia-Ukraine is black-white. Ukraine's innocent.
Look, man, Germany was being fucked with. Germany had been being fucked with since 1919, since they signed the Treaty of Versailles. They were being fucked with. And yeah, some of those people fucking with them were Jews. That doesn't mean we take Jewish children, put them in ghettos, and eventually kill them. That's like, when you start going into, hey, there's shades of gray in the Nazi story, there absolutely are. The problem we have is that once you say there's shades of gray, you have people going either Hitler was an okay guy, or people going, how dare you even question this story? Now you're with them, you're a Nazi too. No. What Hitler did was atrocious and evil. But you can see the bad actions that got us there. It wasn't just Hitler lost his mind. Hitler snapped. Hitler went crazy and just decided to kill people. No, his country was being fucked with hard. It had been demoralized. It had been destroyed. And he definitely lashed out, but I wouldn't say he did it like out of control crazy. He was a guy with some wild fucking ideas. Germany let him in because they were so demoralized from how badly they'd been fucked with, and as they say, the rest is history.
Russia's nuts. But if you actually analyze things and understand them really, you'll see it's not that way.
The lesson from World War II to me is don't push people past their breaking point, because you don't want to deal with the fallout of that.
So this is a very interesting thought experiment. And that's what I'm doing before the media attacks me. I'm not advocating for anything.
Honestly, if I'm Andrew Tate at this point, I really don't give a shit if the media attacks me.
I'm not saying anything. This is a thought experiment. If one particular ideology is shaping society to the point where an entire race will go extinct, shouldn't we understand that period of history intimately? Yes or no? I would argue yes.
Again, this is what makes that first segment where I hated him so much, makes this segment tough, because I agree with him. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with going, hey, this fucking guy tried to eliminate every Jew in the world. I think the most important question to ask about that is, why? And then give really honest answers so that doesn't happen again to any group of people, any race of people. There's nothing, like, there's this thing where you're not even allowed to ask why. Hey, Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews. Why would he want to do that? Oh, he was just fucking crazy. Close the book. Well, look, I mean, there's been crazy people. Like Ted Bundy didn't want to kill every woman alive. John Wayne Gacy didn't want to kill every boy alive. You know, and they were fucking insane. They were really crazy. One of them dressed up like a clown, for Christ's sake. One of them fucked them while they were dead. Those guys were crazy. Dahmer was insane. He didn't eat everybody. But this guy wanted to take over a country and kill every particular human being in one particular group. Why? What the fuck happened that made this guy that way? Isn't that the first thing you ask about serial killers and shit? Don't we go, how'd we get here? How did this person get to be this way? But when it comes to Adolf Hitler, we don't ask that question. I mean, we understand the Japanese. The Japanese had a small island. It was overpopulated. They didn't have enough natural resources for their people, so they wanted to take more land, take more space, they wanted to set up what was called the Japanese co-prosperity sphere. So the Japanese, if you want to get deeper into World War II, what the Japanese did was kind of a response to Western racism towards Asian people. They didn't think Japan was equal to the white European and American powers. So what Japan did was, well, wait a minute. So all these Western powers get to come in and fuck around in our backyard? Like, if what happened to Japan happened to us, we would not allow it. All these Western powers wanted to carve up China. They wanted to colonize Southeast Asia. They wanted to colonize the Pacific, all that. And Japan's sitting there going, I'm a world power. This is my fucking backyard. Get out of here. We're going to set up a Japanese co-prosperity sphere, which means we may not conquer all this land, but Japan wants to be the main influence in this area. Sound familiar? The Monroe Doctrine? The Roosevelt corollary to the Monroe Doctrine? I mean, we did the same shit. We still do the same shit. Cuban Missile Crisis. But Japan was evil. Japan was the terrible bad guys. Yeah, they attacked us and we had to fight back and beat them, but they attacked us because the two of us were fighting for influence over their backyard. It's a little more complicated than that. Dive Bar says we are humans. We don't need a reason to do anything. We just need to be willing to accept the consequence. Silverwolf says, now look at Japan, beloved and racist towards us. Well, I mean, Japan got in line, but boy, was that lesson a tough one